This. So please mute your mics. Ayank Raj. Okay. If you want to ask any questions, you are free to unmute and ask a question. In the last class, we solved some examples, how to get the principal stresses, how to get the direction of the principal plane and all. Let us take something interesting today. That let us assume that I have a body like this, and I take a plane which look like this. This is the plane I'm looking at, right? I take a section and I'm looking at this plane. At this point, let's say point P, the normal is in this direction. I call normal as n cap, and the resultant or the traction is T n in this direction. Okay. Now let me consider another plane within this. So I call I consider another plane like this. On this plane, I consider a point Q. This has a normal. I call this as n dash cap, and the resultant or the traction, let's hope that this is equal to T n dash. So these are the two planes I'm considering. Not necessarily they are orthogonal. The planes are arbitrarily chosen. Now let us say I know the equation for this traction Tn in terms of let's say this n is given as L I cap plus M j cap plus n k cap. This is the unit normal n cap, and similarly n dash cap is given by L dash I cap plus M dash j cap plus n dash k cap. Okay, so now I can write this in terms of ijk is corresponding to xyz. Let us hope that. Okay, in that means I can write down this Tn as equal to, in terms of Lmn, if I want to write, it is sigma xl plus tau xy m plus tau xzn I cap plus tau xy l plus sigma ym plus tau yzn j cap plus tau xzl plus tau yzm plus sigma zn k cap. Here we have assumed that tau xy is equal to tau yx, tau xz is equal to tau zx, and tau yz is equal to tau zy. Okay, so this is not assumption. This is actually the fact, because we have proved that for the equilibrium moment, rotational equilibrium, we should have this tau xy is equal to tau yx and so on. So that stress tensor is symmetric. Now let me take the dot product of Tn dot with n dash. Okay, so I'm taking this traction along this line, the projection of Tn along the direction normal n dash. Okay, so I'm taking that. So this is equal to sigma x l dash plus sigma y m dash plus sigma z n dash plus tau xy l m dash plus l dash m plus tau yz. Correct me if there are anything I'm writing wrong. Mn dash plus m dash n plus tau xz times l n dash plus l dash n. So this is the projection of Tn traction along the n dash. Now let me also take the projection of Tn dash along n, dot product of Tn dash, this with the n. So that way I am now coming here, writing this equation again. So it will be sigma x L dash L plus sigma y M dash M plus sigma z N dash N plus tau xy L dash M plus L M dash plus tau yz M dash N plus M N dash plus tau xz times L dash N plus L N dash. Therefore, what I can conclude is that from these two, I can say that Tn dot N dash is equal to Tn dash dot N cap. That means I can say that the projection of Tn along N cap dash is equal to the projection of Tn dash along N. So this is what we call it as a general theorem in terms of the stress components. Now let's say when I say that sigma 1, sigma 2, sigma 3, this sigma 1, sigma 2 and sigma 3 are what we call it as principal stresses. So this is the normal stress on a plane in which shear stresses are 0. So we have to now prove that these principal stresses are orthogonal. So someone of you have asked this question in the last lecture. So let us say, how do we say they are orthogonal or normal to each other? Now let us assume that n and n dash are two normals corresponding to principal planes. So one corresponds to sigma 1 and other with respect to sigma 2. So that means and sigma 1 and sigma 2 are the corresponding normal or the principal stresses. Corresponding normal means on that particular principal plane, the normal stress is sigma 1 and sigma 2 respectively, or I can also call it as principal stress. Okay. Now, if I want to write the projection of sigma 1, that is the principal stress 1, in the direction of n dash. So this is actually corresponding to the second principal stress, right? So we are taking what is the projection of sigma 1 on the n dash. So that is corresponding to the principal stress 2, principal plane 2 corresponding to sigma 2. So similarly, this should be equal to what we have just proved, that it should be equal to the projection of sigma 2 in the direction of n cap. Am I correct? Because I proved that this is correct in the general theorem just before. That means I can say that sigma 1, which is I am considering that in the projection of that in along n dash direction, that is n dot n dash is equal to sigma 2 n dash dot n. Am I correct if I write like this?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Correct. Therefore, I can say that sigma 1 L L dash plus M dash plus N dash is equal to sigma 2 L L dash plus M dash plus N dash. So this is what we get finally. So in general, we know that sigma 1 is not equal to sigma 2. Sigma 1 is not always equal to sigma 2. There can be cases where sigma 1, sigma 2 can be equal, but not as a general rule. Therefore, what I can write, if these two are not possible, sigma 1 is not equal to sigma 2, then I should say that L dash plus M dash plus N dash should be equal to
0.
0. So what does it mean?
N dot n dash is equal to
N, N,
L dot
N and N dash, these are the two normals, are perpendicular to each other. Similarly, I can take one more stress, sigma 2. For example, I can say n double dash. I can also consider n double dash and work on the similar lines to get that the third normal stress is also, third principal stress is also perpendicular to these two principal stresses. So that is also possible. Correct?
Yes.
All right. Now, so this is a proof that how to say that the principal stresses are normal to each other. So this we have proved. Therefore, we can easily consider that stresses are these stresses are orthogonal to each other. So that's what our meaning is in this case. Okay, fine. Now this is one thing. Next, go to, let us take this stress vector again in terms of the principal plane. So that means sigma 1 0 0 0, sigma 2 0 0 0, sigma 3. So you may ask me that is it same as what we take it in terms of xy coordinates? So the Cartesian or the Cauchy stress, whatever we are considering, is it equivalent of that? It is true, because what we are considering is for at a point we are measuring the stress. So let's say I have, this is the point P where I am measuring the stress. This is X, Y and Z. Only thing what I am doing here is that I am considering some other coordinate system 1, 2 and something like this 3. Okay, so the point is same. The state of stress doesn't change whether you consider XYZ coordinate system or 1, 2, 3 coordinate system. The tensorial notation of that will change, but the state of stress of that particular point doesn't change when you change the orientation of the plane or change the orientation of the coordinate system. Fine. So this point remains as it is. The state of stress at that point remains as it is, irrespective of you consider x, y, z, x prime, y prime, z prime, or 1, 2, 3. So I can also represent this in the 1, 2, 3 coordinate system. The principal coordinate system is also equivalent of what I call in the general state of stress in terms of x, y, z. So they are equivalent, right? So that's why we consider that there are something which is called as invariants. These values remain same irrespective of the orientation of the coordinate axis we consider. So that is one thing. Okay, so now let us consider if we are orienting our coordinate system with respect to 1, 2, 3, coinciding with 1, 2, 3. We can consider any plane. Let's say on any plane I am interested, on any plane having, let's say again n cap as the unit vector. This is n. This is with respect to the principal coordinate system.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, yes.
Sir, this thing that you said that the state of stress remains constant irrespective of the coordinate system orientation, it is only for the principal stresses, no?
No, this is also equivalent of what you consider as in the XYZ system. The state of stress means the values will not change. From this you can arrive at different orientation. Only you find out the details like what is the principal plane, where the shear stress is going to be 0, what are the maximum or minimum normal stress corresponding to this state of stress only.
Okay, sir.
That means the state of stress remains same, right?
Okay,
But
sir.
only thing is the variation of the direction or the variation of the coordinate system is only changing its values in that particular direction only, or in the
Okay.
plane. The
Got it.
state remains same. The loading is not changing, or the stress quantities are not changing. If you just come back to its original coordinate system, the values will be same. Correct?
Okay, sir. Got
So
it.
it's just a matter of rotation, on which plane you are considering, on which rotation of the coordinate axis you are carrying out. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Those details do not change. Okay. Now let us consider a plane with unit normal n. These are all represented with respect to the principal coordinate system. So I am repeating. Therefore, I can say the torsion, the traction vector along the x coordinate system, xyz is also inclined with respect to 1, 2, 3. That means xyz is also 1, 2, 3 coordinate system. So I'm just change the orientation of that. Therefore, I'm writing Tnx here. Tnx, I can say it is equal to sigma 1 L because I don't have any shear stress component on this. And similarly, Tny will be equal to sigma 2m. Tnz is equal to sigma 3 n. Otherwise, you will be having Tnx. What do you have in Tnx? You have sigma xl plus tau xym plus tau xzn. Right? So tau xy is 0, tau xz is 0. Therefore, you get only sigma 1 times L. Or sigma 1 is equal to sigma x in this case also, because I'm coinciding the xyz with respect to 1, 2, 3 system. Fine. Now I can also say that this Tn, the traction vector, is equal to now sigma 1 L I cap plus sigma 2 m j cap plus sigma 3 n k cap. And it's sigma n. For example, if I want to find out sigma n, it is equal to Tn dot n, that is equal to sigma 1 L square plus sigma 2 m square plus sigma 3 n square. This is the normal stress. Normal stress, that means let me put it in another way, because I think you are getting confused with respect to this. See, what I am considering is this is direction 1, this is direction 2, and this is direction 3. So I have sigma 1, I have sigma 2, and I have sigma 3 along these directions. What I'm considering is that I'm considering a plane. I'm considering a plane. Okay, so that plane has got normal n. What is the normal stress on that plane corresponding to that plane? That plane, do you say that they are also shear stress free?
No, sir.
No,
not exactly.
because they are not the principal plane. Any
Yeah.
arbitrary plane I'm considering, right? They are not the principal plane. Therefore, I also get tau s on this. Tau s on this can also be obtained. So what is the value of tau s in that?
Sir, sigma 1 into L1 L2 करके.
That is equal to sigma 1 square L square plus sigma 2 square M square plus sigma 3 square N square minus sigma N square. Correct? Or I can also write this equal to tau s square is equal to magnitude of this Tn square minus sigma n square. That is equal to, I can say, sigma 1 minus sigma 2 square L square M square plus sigma 2 minus sigma 3 square M square N square plus sigma 1 minus sigma 3 square L square N square. So this is also possible. So that means I get the normal stress and the shear stress on this particular plane, Okay. So here now corresponding to the principal directions, I can write what are the stress invariants. I1, that is sigma 1 plus sigma 2 plus sigma 3. This should be also equal to sigma x plus sigma y plus sigma z. They are invariants. I2 is equal to sigma 1 sigma 2 plus sigma 2 sigma 3 plus sigma 1 sigma 3, which is also equal to the I2 I have tau x y sigma y plus sigma y tau yz sigma z plus sigma x tau xz sigma z. And similarly, I3, which is equal to the determinant of the stress matrix, that is equal to sigma 1, sigma 2, sigma 3, is also equal to the determinant of the stress vector. So they are actually known as stress invariants. Okay. Now let us go to another issue here. So I know I'm rewriting this equation sigma n here is sigma 1 L square plus sigma 2 M square. That equation I'm rewriting. Sigma 1 is equal to sigma 1 L square plus sigma 2 M square plus sigma 3 N square, and tau S square is equal to sigma 1 square L square sigma 2 square M square plus sigma 3 square N square minus sigma N square. And I also have a condition that L square plus M square plus N square should be equal to 1. Okay. Now consider these three equations. I can solve this by doing Gauss elimination or any appropriate approach to find out what is the value of LMN. So let us say I want to solve for L, M and N. I want to know what are the direction cosines for this particular thing. So let us consider that if sigma 1 greater than sigma 2 greater than sigma 3. Okay, so we have arranged in the order. Therefore, if I solve these three equations, I get L square should be equal to tau S square plus sigma 1 minus sigma 2 into sigma n minus sigma 3, that divided by sigma 1 minus sigma 2 into sigma 1 minus sigma 3. Okay, so I know that this is L square. This should be always equal to or greater than 0, right? It cannot be negative. M square is equal to tau S square plus sigma n minus sigma 1 sigma n minus sigma 3 upon sigma 2 minus sigma 3 sigma 2 minus sigma 1. This should also be less than or greater than or equal to 0. Finally, n square is equal to tau S square plus sigma n minus sigma 1 sigma n minus sigma 2 divided by sigma 3 minus sigma 1 sigma 3 minus sigma 2 should be greater than or equal to 0. So these, sorry?
Sir, numerator, it is sigma n minus sigma 2, I guess, not sigma 1 minus sigma 2.
Which one?
L square.
M square? L square or M?
L square is equal to
L square.
L square?
Elsewhere.
So what is
sigma
In the
n minus
expression of
sigma
L square.
in the numerator.
Yeah. This should be not, this is sigma n minus sigma 2, right?
Yes.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, correct. You are right. Sigma n because, yeah, you are right. That's correct. Sigma n minus sigma 2, sigma. Okay, fine. Therefore, now, if you look at these values, what can you say about the first equation? By considering that sigma 1 minus sigma 2 is positive, sigma 1 minus sigma 3 is positive, that means this is positive. Okay. Now, what will happen to the second equation? Second equation. What happens to the denominator of the second equation?
Both
Negative.
are negative.
Negative, right? Because this
Sigma,
is
sigma 1.
That is
sigma
negative.
2 minus sigma 1. This one is negative, right? Therefore, this will become negative. Okay. Now, if I look at the equation for n square, this is negative because sigma 3 is less than sigma 1, and this is also negative. So this is negative and this is also negative. Okay. So the denominator of the first equation is positive, and hence the numerator is also positive, correct?
Yes, sir.
Because the overall L square is positive. It should be greater than or equal to 0. 0 or positive. And what happens with the m square is that the denominator is negative because sigma 2 minus sigma 1 is negative, right? What should happen with the numerator? That should also be negative, so that m square becomes positive or 0. Correct? And similarly, the third equation, the denominator is positive, therefore the numerator should also be positive. Therefore, I can write it as tau the numerator I am writing tau s square plus sigma n minus sigma 2 into sigma n minus sigma 3 should be greater than or equal to 0. I also write tau s square, second equation, sigma n minus sigma 1, sigma n minus sigma 3 should be less than or equal to 0. It should be negative. And then tau, third equation, tau s square plus sigma n minus sigma 1, sigma n minus sigma 2 should be greater than or equal to 0. So these are the conditions I end up. Okay, so I end up in getting this type of equations. Fine. Therefore, what I can say is that now I can just rewrite these expressions. I can rewrite these type of equations with in a different way. I will write it in a different way, that tau s square plus sigma n minus sigma 2 plus sigma 3 by 2 square greater than or equal to sigma 2 minus sigma 3 by 2 square. I call this as tau 1 square. And then tau s square plus sigma n minus sigma 1 plus sigma 3 by 2 square should be less than or equal to sigma 3 minus sigma 1 by 2 whole square. I call this as tau 2 square. And then I have third equation, tau s square plus sigma n minus sigma 1 plus sigma 2 by 2 square should be greater than or equal to sigma 1 minus sigma 2 by 2 square. Call it as tau 3 square. Okay, so what is the meaning of this? What is the meaning of this? Mathematically, what is this? It represents what?
Center, radius.
We are writing the center and radius of 3 different circles, correct?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes.
I can represent the principal stresses using the circles with radius and center as given in these expressions. So let me write that circle. This is the sigma axis, this is the tau axis. I just point out sigma 1, sigma 2 and sigma 3. Just I'm drawing a rough circle on this. And I connect this sigma 1 and sigma 2 also. The center is sigma 1 plus sigma 2 by 2. This is the center, and the radius is sigma 1 minus sigma 2 by 2. Okay, and the third circle, this one is with the center sigma 1 plus sigma 3 by 2 and the radius sigma 3 minus sigma 1 minus sigma 3 by 2. So this is the third circle I have. Okay, so I have the centers. We have 3 circles. I'll call this as sigma 1 and sigma 2. I call this as R3, and this is center 3, and this is C1. I call this as R1, and somewhere here I get C2, and this is R2. Okay, I get 3 circles. The center C1 is sigma 2 plus sigma 3 by 2, C2 sigma 1 plus sigma 3 by 2, and C3 sigma 1 plus sigma 2 by 2. And the radius R1 is equal to sigma 2 minus sigma 3 by 2. R2 is equal to sigma 1 minus sigma 3 by 2, and R3 is equal to sigma 1 minus sigma 2 by 2. Okay. So this is the representation of the principal stresses in the form of a circle. Now, if I look back to this equation, what I can further say that is that any value of sigma n and sigma s you find out, right? Any value of sigma n and sigma s. That means I consider a plane like this. I consider a plane like this. I get some sigma n, and I get some tau s. Okay, where does these values located? Where do you locate these values of sigma n and tau s in this 3 circles? In this graphical arrangement, where do you find those values? Sigma n and sigma s. So can you say anything from these equations? These equations? Inside the circle, outside the circle, or something like that?
So inside the circle.
Inside which circle?
So this.
So we can say that is that
Second inside.
according to this according to the first equation, what I can say that any point sigma n and tau s must lie on or outside the circle of radius sigma 2 minus sigma 3 by 2. Correct? This I am considering this equation. Any sigma n comma tau s will be either on the circle or outside the circle of radius sigma 2 minus sigma 3 by 2, and center at sigma 2 plus sigma 3 by 2. And what will happen with the second equation?
On the circle and inside the circle.
Inside the circle.
Inside the circle, right? Because it is less than or equal to that. The second equation, it says that any stress sigma n tau s must lie inside or on the circle with radius sigma 3 minus sigma or sigma 1 minus sigma 3 by 2. Correct? Similarly, what I can also say from the third equation is that any point sigma n tau s will be outside the circle of radius sigma 1 plus sigma 2 by 2. So these are my observations from this figure. That means I can say any point I just locate here, any point, this is sigma n comma tau s. This is inside or outside this circle, the extreme circle, or it should be outside these two circles, or at the most it can be on the circle. So this is my observation on this. So that means tau sigma n comma tau s. This is for any random plane I have considered with respect to the principal coordinate system. This should be on or outside the circles of radius sigma 2 minus sigma 3 by 2 and sigma 1 minus sigma 2 by 2, and another condition is that it should be and or inside a circle of radius sigma 1 minus sigma 3 by, it should be within that circle. So this is my conclusion. Okay. So I hope this is clear. Now let us. Some mic is on. Aditi, can you mute your mic?
कल शुक्रवार मम्मी कल शुक्रवार
You can mute her. Okay. Fine. So let us consider a simple example where let us consider that I have a stress vector given by 120, 55, minus 85. This is minus 55, minus 75. YZ is 33, minus 75, 33. All in megapascal. So this is the stress. Okay. So what I need to do for this is that first determine sigma 1, sigma 2 and sigma 3 and construct Morse circle. And second is to locate for point A given by sigma n1 comma tau s1 and point B corresponding to sigma n2 and tau s2. These are the normal and shear stresses for normal and shear stresses acting on a cutting plane, acting on cutting plane with normal. I will say n1 has direction cosines of 1 by root 3 comma 1 by root 3 comma 1 by root 3, and second normal is 1 by root 2 comma 1 by root 2 comma 0. These are all relative to the principal axis. So this is the example first we have to find out sigma 1, sigma 2, sigma 3, the principal planes, principal stresses, as per the procedure we have already discussed, and then go to use those values and find out what is sigma and tau s for the given values. And let's see where in the exact Mohr circle these 2 points lie. Okay, for the given state of stress, I quickly calculate the principal stresses. I1 is equal to 120 plus 55 minus 85, that is equal to 90. I2 is minus 18,014. I3 is the determinant of this, that is equal to 471,680. So this is the value. Now I have the equation, that is sigma q, minus I1 sigma square, that is minus 90 sigma square, plus I2 sigma minus 18,014 sigma, plus 4,71,680 is equal to 0. So this is the equation we should solve. We get sigma 1 is equal to 176.8 megapascal. Sigma 2 is equal to 24.06 megapascal, and sigma 3 is equal to minus 110.86 megapascal. I can plot the Mohr circle also. So that means for center 1 is equal to sigma 2 plus sigma 3 by 2, which is equal to sigma 2 plus sigma 3 by 2 will be minus 43.4 megapascal. Center 2 is equal to similarly 32.97, and center 3 is equal to 100.43. Similarly, radius R1 is sigma 2 minus sigma 3 by 2 equal to 67.46 megapascal. R2 sigma 1 minus sigma 3 by 2, that is 143.83, and R3 is equal to 76.37, that is sigma 1 minus sigma 2 by 2. Okay, so these are the radius and those things. Now let me calculate for N1. Correspond with relative to the principal directions, N1 is actually equally has a line that is equally inclined with 1, 2, 3 axis. Therefore, I can say sigma N1 is equal to sigma 1 L1 square plus sigma 2 M1 square. These equations we have already derived or written earlier, N1 square. And similarly, tau S1 is equal to sigma 1 square L1 square plus sigma 2 square M1 square plus sigma 3 square N1 square minus sigma N1 square. This is corresponding to 1 by root 3 we should do, 1 by root 3 comma 1 by root 3. L1 N1 M1 is equal to 1 by root 3. Therefore, I find out that sigma N1 is equal to 176.8, that is the value of sigma 1 into 1 by 3 plus 24.06 by 3 minus 110.86 by 3. That comes out to be equal to 30 megapascal. And tau S1, similarly, I can substitute here and find that it is equal to 117.51 megapascal. So therefore, point A corresponding to sigma N1 and tau S1 is equal, has the coordinates 30 and 117.51 megapascal. Similarly, I can also carry out the same thing for N2, that is 1 by root 2 comma 1 by root 2 comma 0. These are L2, M2, N2 values. So here I get sigma N2 is equal to 100.43 megapascal and tau S2 is equal to 76.37 megapascal. Okay, so that means point B, as per the problem, it is It has a coordinate of 100.43, 76.37 megapascal. So these are the values I have. Now let me draw the Mohr circle and locate these points. So I can draw the Mohr circle. This is sigma, this is tau. So the values are 176.8, and then I have 24.06, and then I have 110 minus 110.86. So I get three circles like this. I put this point somewhere here. Okay, so I can draw the three circles like this. So one bigger circle, sorry that it is not looking like a circle. This is the value of 24.06, and the third circle, some issue with this. So these are the points I have. So the radius and the values are, we have already found out. A is actually 30, 117.51, right? 117.51. So somewhere here I may find, somewhere here 30, this is 24, somewhere here I will find that value. This is point A, and B has a coordinate of 100.43 and 76.37. So where should it come? 76.37 is actually the radial distance. This is the 76.37. Okay, so 100.43 do we have anywhere here? That is the C3. Okay, so that means where should the point B lie? Right here. This is point B. This is the center. This is the center of this circle, and on the periphery of this. Therefore, I now know that A is 30, 117.51 is already located. B is 100.43, 76.37. So these are the values. Now we found that for any given two planes we found. So on this, it should be lying above these two circles, outside or on this, or inside the bigger circle with radius sigma 1 minus sigma 3 by 2. Okay, now what is the value of maximum shear stress from this? This one, that is, this is the center C2, and this is the radius R2. So this is my tau max. This is my tau max, and the value of tau max is equal to R2. This is the value of tau max. That is 143.83 megapascal. Okay, for this particular problem, tau max is equal to 143.83 megapascal, and the maximum normal stress is sigma 1. This is the sigma max, and this is the minimum sigma, that is sigma 3 is equal to sigma minimum. Okay. So this is a range of values at that particular point for the given state of stress. Now I can say that this state of stress is same as, this is also equivalent having another state of stress that is represented by the principal stresses, that is 176.8, 24.06 and minus 110.86. Rest all the shear stress components are 0. So they are equivalent because we are dealing only at a particular point. Therefore, these two systems are equivalent. Only thing is we have changed the coordinate axis, the orientation of the coordinate axis, having center at the same point we are considering, origin at the same point. So this is all about plotting the Mohr circle, graphical representation of any stress, normal and shear stress.